AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built into. That's why it's no surprise that more than 85% of the Fortune 500 use the ServiceNow AI platform. While other platforms duct tape tools together, ServiceNow seamlessly unifies people, data, workflows, and AI, connecting every corner of your business. And with AI agents working together autonomously, anyone in any department can focus on the work that matters most. Learn how ServiceNow puts AI to work for people at ServiceNow.com. Hey everyone, welcome to Serve, brought to you by ServiceNow. Please subscribe. There's a bit of a hangover, guys.
Yeah?
It's the Carlos hangover.
Oh, man.
It sucks.
It's not a good hangover.
You know, it's obviously the news being that Carlos is out. So from last week's show, just the update, we saw him in a cast. Lots of speculation. We leave the studio and 10 minutes later, it's the beauty of recording a show on a Monday and releasing it on a Tuesday. But he's out. He is out for Rome. He is out for Roland Garros, with something that doesn't often happen, where you play a match in Monte-Carlo, then you play one match in Barcelona, you finish, you win. That doesn't exactly lead you down. When you pull out of an event like a Barcelona when you're Alcaraz, it screams maintenance at first. So I was pretty surprised that, you know, even after the cast and everything, that he has to basically essentially ride off the next month of the year. It's just not good. You know, it's just, you know, he's electric, and we like the Alcaraz and Sinner of things, and creates a bit of an attention vacuum, bit of a tennis vacuum, and it's never great to lose your defending champion at Roland Garros, especially in Rome for that matter, especially after the final last year. JW.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to spin this positively. I mean, I guess one thing we could say, it does look like this is not a tear. And, you know, you hear wrist in tennis, and immediately, where does your mind go? To some really dark places. Juan Martín del Potro, Dominic Thiem, never the same player. On the other hand, no pun intended. You know, I was thinking 10 years ago, Novak's trying to win Roland Garros for the first time, and what happens? He's, you know, is he going to beat Rafa? And then Rafa has a wrist injury, and we all say, oh, yeah. Rafa misses Wimbledon, and then by August, he's winning gold medals in doubles and is playing the U.S. Open. So we hope that's what this is. You don't mess around in tennis with wrists. In a way, I think it's impressive that, you know, it's rare to see someone pull out of an event 4 weeks out, especially as the two-time defending champion. But with any luck, we'll see. It doesn't look like he's going to undergo surgery. I was trying to make some calls, and the camp has been understandably buttoned up, but it does seem like he's going to be trying to come back in time for Wimbledon. So that's the good news. You know, with opportunities, whether this is Jannik Sinner winning the career slam, which would, you know, two straight majors with a career slam would be interesting. You know, there's a 39-year-old Serbian player who, only player who did better than him in the previous major was Alcaraz. Maybe what do you always say? It's going to be tough for him to go through two of these guys. Well, now he only has to go through one. Alexander Zverev was probably going to get that spot at the second seed. I mean, it creates opportunities, but yeah, it's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate chiefly for Carlos Alcaraz, but also objectively, it's not great for a tournament when the two-time defending champion a month out pulls out. And we just hope this is, again, the Nadal 2016 wrist injury and not some of the more dire wrist injuries that we've seen with other players.
Well, listen, I don't know that I will ever question a player who takes the long view on an injury, especially like I know Carlos is 7 majors in, right? And he's walking through the shadows of greats pretty much month to month right now. But with the players that you named, JW, and I'm glad you shouted them out, Juan Martín del Potro, I'm thankful. It seems like this week he's getting a ton of love from, you know, I heard on different podcasts, Jim Courier was talking about him, and I'm happy that people realize the enormous potential that he had and how good he was, not even just potential, because a lot of it was realized. And then Dominic Thiem, right? Like, if you're Carlos, I'm hoping that sets in. It's disappointing for us as fans, but in the macro view, it's like, why on earth would you risk anything if you're Carlos Alcaraz? You know, one major versus pushing something. We don't know what it is yet. I know for a fact you can't play through a Monte-Carlo final and then a Barcelona first round, was it 2 or 3 days later? If you have tears or tendons or, you know, whatever it is, it's not something that you can like grin and bear it. So I'm hoping this is precautionary. based on the information that we have so far, which is not a lot, past his Instagram post, which I might have you just read at the end of this, it doesn't seem extreme. Like JW said, we hope that's not the case. We hope the case is that it's not an extreme injury. I guess better safe than sorry when you have someone who's as young, explosive, and kind of the only concern between him and, continuing his march through tennis history is health, right? So I guess you protect that at all costs if you're in the Alcaraz camp.
I went down the rabbit hole a little bit. Who's had wrist injuries? And you don't really, Novak Djokovic had a wrist injury. Roger Federer, and I think it was 2018, had a hand. I mentioned Nadal. Serena Williams had her wrist wrapped. Again, you don't mess around with wrists. But did you ever have that? Do you ever have?
Yeah, I had my left wrist one time. Injury. I dove on a match point against Elanawi in a long match there, and I landed on my wrist. And so I played the semifinal there against Schüttler with basically a chip backhand. And I didn't really do much. It came back. It wasn't anything that cost me any amount of time, but I think I had to pull out of maybe one event, missed 3 or 4 weeks. But it certainly wasn't on the right wrist, and it wasn't because of, there's a difference between like if you land on a wrist and you bruise it versus like your stroke production is grinding your wrist in a certain way that you can't get away from, which is very different. Mine was, I landed, there was an injury. It wasn't based on the way I was hitting the ball like a team or maybe a Juan Martin where, your body just couldn't take that extreme stroke production. So yes and no, had a wrist injury. It wasn't the same as the people trying to produce, violent spin through, in your wrist saying, I can't actually physically do this. Do you want to read his post?
Yeah, on Friday, on the 24th, he had put out on Instagram, he said, after the results of the test carried out today, we have decided that the most prudent thing to do is to be cautious and not participate in Rome or Roland Garros as we wait to evaluate the progress so we can decide when to return to court. This is a difficult time for me, but I'm sure we will come out of it stronger. Obviously, they're not going to rush this thing. Mm-hmm. Is there any concern about even Wimbledon at this point?
Of course, because we don't know anything.
Yeah.
If you're pulling out of tournaments 4 weeks in advance, yeah, you're definitely concerned. We don't know we're guessing. Mm-hmm. We're guessing based on context clues, right? If you finished a match in Barcelona, I know you called the trainer during that. It feels like wear and tear, as opposed to like. I say if you yank the strings on an electric guitar, right? That sort of pain, like you don't play through that. You don't play a Monte-Carlo final. You don't play the next round in Barcelona. So we're hoping it's not like a major injury where you hit one ball and all of a sudden you pull up and you know something's wrong, like we've seen before. The context clues don't suggest that it's something that was ripped, torn in a major way. And we hope that's the case, but what am I do podcasts. I'm not a doctor. So I think we wait and see. But yeah, if someone pretty young who, by the way, has not been scared to take tournaments off going into Roland Garros the past 2 years. He's either missed Madrid or Rome each of the last 2 years, 1 year with a forearm injury. And then a couple last year it was he got hurt in Barcelona again. So maybe don't play back-to-back weeks on clay anymore, right? You've gotten hurt in Barcelona while trying to tack it on to Monte-Carlo the last couple of years. I know it's easier said than done, local pressures, and it's in your hometown and everything else. But curious if you kind of take a step back and you start scheduling maybe a little bit differently. Listen, the thing that struck me when players were asked about Carlos was this thing like Zverev kind of almost like epitomized it. They're like, okay, well, on the plus side, it's one less to go through if I want to win a Grand Slam. So that I'm not going to like sugarcoat and say that my path isn't easier if he's not there. Right? One of the two major, beating one of them is different than two of them. And he's like, I fully am sad and understand the fact that when Carlos isn't there, it's a major hit to tennis, right? Two things can be true. And I thought he kind of threaded that needle pretty well with his response. But yeah, it opens it up for someone like a Zverev or, this aged version of Novak, right? It maybe gives you a little bit of hope where, going through one, Novak's gone through one. He went through one in Australia, and he went through one last year in Australia. So, if you're Novak, you're going, okay, well, maybe 25, and Zverev equally is going maybe 1. But before we get to Taco Gate, going through one is going to be pretty hard. right? Sinner, obviously looking at the career Grand Slam, to JW's point, would be the second consecutive career Grand Slam. Both guys 24 or younger. Like, that's on the heels of the big three. That's insane. Like, okay, well, the next two are just going to come out and win the career Grand Slam by the time they're 24. I mean, there's a lot at stake. Sinner pumped the gas, right?
He's on a heater right now.
Oh, he's on a heater. And listen, I know that I talk a lot of shit about the long Masters 1000s. If you have confidence in a bottle and you're like Sinner, and you know it's going to be, you play one match, you get a day off to play, it's probably easier to commit to Madrid and Rome in that scenario. Right now, if you're, there are only so many Sinners who have fully captured confidence and have it to the tune of, what has he won, 24?
As of right now, when this comes out, he'll be playing again, but he has 24 consecutive wins in Masters 1000s events, which is the fourth longest streak in history, only behind Novak, who did it with 31, then again did it with 30, and then Roger did it, and then now Sinner.
Yeah, sometimes we toss these stats out. It sounds impressive. I mean, look at where he has won those and under what conditions and who he's had to beat. And we're talking about clay, and we're talking about Indian Wells grit, and we're talking about Miami World Tour Finals. I think, tell me if I'm, Talon Griegspoor, is that the answer to our trivia question? Is that the last player to beat him?
That's a good question.
You mean in a Masters event?
In Masters 1000.
Yeah, in a Masters event. Yeah, when you say 24 in a row.
That's unbelievable recall. And also, like, at the risk of beating a dead horse, apparently that tournament was like standing on the sun. Right? So it's like if there's one thing that could potentially help is, I guess, if like you're about to play Sinner, you're just cheering for the sun to be out. Honestly, I mean, it's like Greek sport, but it was like,
it was Greek sport, and it was a retirement. Yeah,
because he was a player. The court was like 1,000,000 degrees, which, I don't want to get on my Vachereau kick again, but it makes it even more impressive. But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of storylines. Obviously, we wish. I kind of wish. One of my biggest things, obviously, you want Carlos healthy, but also in the kind of postmortem of last year's final, it would have just been so fun if those two were trending towards each other again in that venue, because it was one of the best matches, one of the best sporting events that you'll ever see in your life. So it stinks that we're a month out and there's no chance of the repeater, right? That stinks. But Mike, do you like tacos?
I do. I love tacos.
You do? Would you eat a taco in Madrid right now?
I don't know. Based on what Jim Courier and everybody's talking about on Tennis Channel, I don't know. But it might not be the tacos. It might be a mixture of tacos and general stomach bug.
I hate to say we can predict the future, but if you go back to last week's episode, what did I say the stadium looked like?
Ooh.
What did I say it looked like?
You said it looked like a Chipotle.
The stadium, Caja Mágica, looks like the inside of a Chipotle restaurant. People getting sick from tacos. I don't know. Get your hats.
Get your tinfoil hats out.
Get the tinfoil hats out. Just saying.
Google Chipotle food poisoning, by the way. Honestly, like, for the record, I believe the catering company has denied. And I mean, I don't know. Let's, we want to be fair here.
So let me give the headline right.
And like, just to be clear, Chipotle is not the catering sponsor of Caja Mágica.
Yes.
They just might have the same interior designer. That's all. Chipotle, sponsor us. We love you.
We love Chipotle.
Okay, love Chipotle. Had it yesterday.
I think 31 players have withdrawn or retired from the Madrid Open so far across both draws, up from 21 on Friday. 17 women are now either withdrawn or retired in Madrid. Illness clusters mid-tournament hit people like Iga, Samsonova, Maddie Keys, Coco Gauff's throwing up on court and still winning. Cilic was pulled out. So it's definitely a little bit all over the place in terms of people feeling ill. But Coco did say she did not eat the tacos.
Oh. Okay, well, I feel like I love tacos, and I'm thankful that they're being defended properly. And that's, I don't want them to take the fall.
Wait, serious question.
Yes.
You're at a tournament and, they're serving crab enchilada. I mean, do you think about what you're eating and saying, you know what, it looks good, but probably not the shrimp the risk reward for shrimp taco seems to
not a big listen, that whatever the catering is a pop-up store for that week. Not a big fan of pop-up fish. Got to be honest. Yeah. That's not the one for me. Pop-up seafood. Nope.
Yeah, I'm
not going there.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of buffet seafood.
But it's like Sinner. I was kind of the same way, but Sinner was like, I go in, I practice, I get out, and that was kind of, what I did too. But like, I don't know. I guess by the time you're rationally making those decisions based on the feedback of the tournament, which at this point hasn't been good, it's probably too late.
Yeah.
I mean, you're next to everyone in line. Everyone says hello. Everyone does the deep high five. We all hug each other. Like that shit's a tinderbox for a virus.
Yeah.
Like there's no doubt about it.
I would love to go a month where we're not talking about food.
Why? I love
tour.
food.
For a tour event. There was something funny though, which it's since been, a comment has since been deleted, but WTA posted a score of Coco winning that match, and obviously the comments were all over the place. And one guy wrote, "A champion in faking illness, an Oscar for Coco," and Corey Gauff got into the replies,
Good.
which I think it's since been deleted. But he wrote, "I got time today. I guess you didn't see throwing up in the garbage with your egghead."
It's so stupid. Like
I love that defending his daughter.
Don't feed the trolls, man.
Great dad.
like what? But also like online idiocy is sometimes undefeated. Like there's a lot of great, like memes are great. There's a lot of value, right? But also, what has Coco done to ever make us think that she's gonna like grandstand on like an injury? All she does is show up in the best of times and the worst of times, like always, right? I mean, someone physically vomiting into a bush, what does that get you? Like, let's just say that she was faking, or let's just entertain this psycho for a second. And I'm glad Corey got in there. And side note, don't want to fight Corey. just we've always gotten along great. I've only seen the fantastic sides of Corey. And if he had time that day, I would not have time that day.
I got time today is one of the scariest things to precede something else from a dad.
That is the best way to like stake your claim, say your piece without being like, you want to fuck, like obviously you can't go, but like it was fantastic. But also, what does it get Coco? All it does is show her opponent that she might be tired. She can run, like it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like faking it doesn't do anything.
She's vomiting too. If any injury is not faked,
I will tell you this.
Anyway,
this is a side departure because I want to get to the new sensation here in a second. Jodar. Yeah, I want to get there in 1 second. But just a side note, I remember this is like the shady shit that my mom. She's like, if you ever have to vomit, if you ever like it's junior tennis, she's like, you're playing in like San Antonio where it's 1,000 degrees and you're having to play 17 matches in a day as a junior. She's like, if you ever have to vomit, go in the middle of the court. It's going to take at least 20 minutes to clean it up.
Your mom said that?
Yeah, my mom said that.
That's next level.
Yeah, 100%.
That's our upset of the day.
Did you ever?
No, that's not an upset. You just don't know my mom well.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's a great. Wait, stop there. That's a great tactic. You're right. In theory, you'd have to clean it up. That buys you 20 minutes to like. All right. Blanche Roddick coming in from the top rope.
Sneaky.
That's a good one.
You're not breaking a rule because it's probably not. I don't know.
It's like when I spilled that drink courtside at the game.
I know.
The Mavericks were on a heater.
I know.
And boom!
Apparently, all I'm saying is that apparently Corey Gauff didn't coach Coco. He could have gotten 20 minutes in air conditioning, and I'm scared of Corey Gauff.
That concludes the vomit section of today's show.
Yeah. Maybe we should take a break.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break. We'll get to Jodar right after.
Fine. AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built on. With the ServiceNow AI platform, your AI, data, and workflows all work together, connecting every corner of your business. To see how you can put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com/AI-agents. All right, welcome back to Serve, brought to you by ServiceNow. That little break, we learned something, Mike. That was good timing.
We did.
Welcome to doing a show on a Monday and having it air on a Tuesday when you do a little 3, 4, 5 minute segment on Coco Gauff. Then you go to break, and then Teggy Sean informs you that she just lost live on television. You all will know this because you're listening on Tuesday, but Coco, post-vomit gate, goes down to Noskaba.
3-set tiebreaker.
Yeah. Tough one. You know who is playing like he's anything but sick this week? Jodar.
Ooh. Jodar.
Thank goodness there's finally a good player from Spain. Thank goodness. It's
so,
about time.
It's so annoying.
Let's just level set. On Friday, we had that real bummer, that announcement from Alcaraz. You just, whatever the Spanish word for bummer is, you're like, this sucks. Literally 3 hours later, there is a Spanish player beating top 10 Alex de Minaur like in an hour.
A teenager, mind you, a 19-year-old from Madrid.
I'll tell you this, like, you look for certain score lines against certain types of players. Like if you would have, like in our generation, it would have been if you had a 19-year-old, let's say it was Del Potro coming up, and all of a sudden he takes out like a David Ferrer 3-2, you're going, oh shit. Like when a young player goes after the type of player like a demon and rolls him, you're going, oh, this has something elite attached to it. Is it ball striking? Is it all of the above? Is it you're not just going to beat demon on craftiness, consistency, athleticism? There has to be like an elite skill set to do that, and then to go and beat Fonseca also. Like this kid's rolling. I mean, it's real deal.
The demon win was his first career top 10 win, and then currently he has 17 wins in his first 25 career ATP matches.
That's silly.
That's a better start than Nadal, Federer, Novak, Alcaraz, Sinner, and Fonseca.
Yeah.
We were talking about this on Tennis Channel. Courier gets the hat tip on this. Jodar's like top 20 in the rolling rankings.
Yep.
Wow.
So this is a big week for him. He's from Madrid. He's playing in Madrid. It's this real breakthrough tournament, but it's not like he came out of nowhere. I mean, he's ahead of like Taylor Fritz. I mean, he's top 20 in the rankings from January 1st. So, boy, what a smooth transition from college. What a revelation. I don't know if you've seen him play. He's just easy power. It's about, I don't have it in front of me. He's like 6'3", $160. Like he's not exactly, he's just easy, smooth player who hits with a lot of juice.
I watched him, and that's one of the telltale signs, JW. I'm glad you mentioned it. I watched him. We played that thing in Dallas, and I kind of had an hour between stuff, and he was playing on center. So I went out and I was like, I need to see this kid. I went out and watched probably 6 or 7 games live, because live tells a different story than on TV sometimes. And you nailed it, JW. Like every ball is coming off hot without the intent of like, I'm going to step in and punish one, right? He's got that like slingshot, those long levers, and it seems like he's matching up the movement with the ability to hit it big. Because when you see someone young who hits it as big as he does, you're going, okay, is he going to be able to get in position all the time to give the ball a ride? And in February, the quali's match, the court's a little bit faster, so maybe, I don't know. And then fast forward to like late April, beginning of May, and you're going, yep, it's syncing up, and it's syncing up very quickly. And it doesn't feel like, sometimes when you see a young player, it's like, oh, they caught a hot streak, and this is, the wins are maybe form dependent. This doesn't feel form dependent. This feels extremely reliable. There's not one part of, you watch his matches against Demon and Fonseca, it doesn't feel like he's just riding a wave. It feels like this is clinical, and this is kind of just the way I am. Am I a victim of the moment, JW?
You are not. And this is a guy who spent at least, basically a freshman year at UVA and said, we're good. UVA, by the way, someone had this post. I wish I could credit the person. I don't have it in front of me. Nice recruiting class. Fonseca and Jodar in the same recruiting class. We can talk later about NIL, but that's a nice recruitment. No, this guy he's so solid. Not named, by the way. Let's just clear this up. Not named for Rafa Nadal, despite that rumor going around. But he's there. He's coached by his dad. He's from Madrid, which brings an extra level of pressure. And again, it's one of these eye test things. I mean, I'm thinking Fonseca's probably like, wait, I thought I was the hot young 19-year-old. He doesn't turn. I think he's at September birthday, I think. So he'll be 19 at the U.S. Open still. It's funny too. We're trying to find. You do one of these deep dives when a kid makes a run. You're trying to pick up what you can, and his listed coaches were the UVA coach and his father. And then the very first line of his Wikipedia says like his father's not a player. So you're watching his matches. There's no agent, and there's only dad in the player's box, and dad's not a player. So I'm not quite sure sort of where he's getting this confidence and some of this professionalism and some of this court sense, but this kid has got it. And it's entirely possible he'll be seeded for more majors this year.
It's interesting also, like is this going to be a good thing for Fonseca? Like it's weird when you're like kind of the up and coming guy and then you take your first loss to someone who is your age or young. I don't know where the crossover is. I know they're within months of each other, but like when you've been the hype guy for 2 years, you skip UVA, the other guy goes, you win some titles, the other guy's in college. Little known fact, you told me before we went on, Jodar also got kicked out of a college tournament for what?
Yeah. He like chucked a ball against the fence and the deemed it.
Why do I like that stuff?
I don't know. That was my reaction too. I'm like, I love it. Sweet.
Yeah, I'm like,
oh, he's got defaulted a match because he got heated.
He's got a little bit of feeling. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's like Fonseca losing to someone younger than him on clay or just older than him, but whatever. His age, his first, I guess, natural peer. You know, that's legitimately like JW saying top 20 in the year-to-date rankings. It's interesting, but I mean, it's pretty fun. You know, at this point, we're looking for that next group, and everything begins and ends with Alcaraz and Sinner. And so we're looking at 19-year-olds, whether it's Fonseca or Jodar, and we're going, all right, what do they look like a year from now? Is this going to be like, you know, maybe if their bodies aren't ready yet, and, you know, 3 out of 5 is different. Like, don't everyone go crazy if Jodar loses a tough 5-setter and Roland Garros. Like, you don't get anointed. You have to earn your place, but be interesting. Listen, I don't know that I've ever seen tennis in a worse place when we have great prospects to watch.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's fantastic. Listen, I've been having conversations, and I have no idea where this conversation is going to go, and I'm really interested in you all's opinion also. But on the NIL of things, obviously Patrick McEnroe was basically going off on, you know, I don't want to say jobs being taken, tennis roster spots being taken by international players, and that's one issue. Arkansas SEC school gets rid of the tennis program
on Thursday.
Correct. Isner's been very outspoken about it. Patrick seemed upset about it. He went on Newsmax and talked about the internationals taking our jobs. You know, it's an interesting thing because I say things like, okay, we wanted this free market system of payment for college athletes and for tennis players, and now we're kind of against the fallout. Like, we made it a free market. We've made it acting inside of the bounds of capitalism, where if you have someone generating money and your sport's not, and by the way, I think it's bullshit. I would love Arkansas to tell us why other sports are losing more money and tennis gets cut. That's a very, very, very why?
Can I set the table on this?
Please,
a little bit? So they announced at the end of the week that they were cutting the tennis program. This comes on the heels of, obviously, you know, the Division I cabinet ruled that if you're not committed to a school, you can accept prize money, but the second you commit to a school, you still can't accept prize money. There's challenges with the House rulings here in the United States with NIL and how to evaluate international students' access to NIL compared to American students. There's television rights deals. You know, there's the way the funds are all kind of committed around to different things. But one thing we were looking at, for context, the 2025 financial report for Razorback Athletics was reported, and women's tennis and men's tennis are the least of the losers of all of the sports, right? Football is the only one. Football makes significant money, made $30 million. Men's basketball made $4 million. Then women's tennis lost $1 million. Men's tennis lost $1.2 million. Now, every other sport that's on there, men's golf, women's golf, gymnastics, volleyball, swimming, diving, soccer, softball, baseball, track and field, and then women's basketball at the very bottom, all also lost more money individually.
Yeah.
And women's basketball lost $6.4 million. And so if you think about it from an economic standpoint, you're like, why is this getting cut? But in background conversations, it's media, it's what is really valuable in the grand scheme of things. And just for context, that's kind of where it sits financially.
Do you think these dovetail? I'm looking right now. I just pulled this up. This is the Arkansas tennis roster, and the players are from Slovenia, France, Israel, Brisbane, Australia, Seville, Prague, Little Rock, Slovakia, Austin, Texas. So you have 2 American players on the roster. And if you're an athletic director and you say, oh man, I'm going to catch some heat. I've got their parents, their taxpayers, and whatever it is, 8 of the 10 kids are not from the United States, do we think that might have an impact?
Maybe. I mean, I think the Olympic sports of things matters. And I know people are going to go, well, tennis is an Olympic sport. Yes, but no one's qualifying for the Olympics by making a semifinal run at the NCAA tournament. It's just not happening, right? Like, you don't qualify for the Olympics through NCAA tennis. Whereas, you can still get into trials as an NCAA athlete and qualify for the Olympics. We see it every Olympics, someone from Baylor winning a gold or someone from somewhere else winning a gold in track and field or what have you. It's weird because there are parts of tennis separate from the NCAA where we go, okay, well, someone else is paying for you to exist, right? So someone else is paying the role of football, and tennis is one of the sports. Basically, it's always outside of, or for the most part, and I'm sure there are some exceptions, so save me, but for the most part, generally as a rule, football makes money, basketball might make money, and then after that, it's a struggle to make money, right? It does depend what's included in the TV deals, right? So it's not just based on the tennis program lost this, but if there's a bundle or a package, and soccer is good filler, as opposed to having to watch 6 matches on 6 courts all at the same time. College tennis is tougher to watch, right? So all of those factors matter, but it's weird. You go, okay, well, this is free markets doing its thing, right? This is capitalism without social safety nets, right? And we don't like it because it's sports, but we don't often try to cross over between, politics and tennis on the show. We normally try to, save for a snarky comment here or there. We normally try to keep it on the rails of tennis, but this is like almost impossible politically. Someone I talked to who's very passionate, has a history in college tennis and has been very outspoken about it, was basically like, well, they fucked up and Congress now has to fix it. I'm going, okay, so we're expecting this Congress under its current control to restrain capitalism at work that was a choice to allow NIL. Well, why doesn't that just apply to football and basketball? So you want to carve out the money-making sports from this conversation? Like, I don't know. The one solution that seems like it would fix some things as far as tennis and maybe other sports is an age limit, right? Is there a difference? I have no issue with someone coming here and playing tennis. Listen, if you're not good enough to beat someone from Slovenia or France or whatever, and there's 100 some odd Division I tennis programs, then maybe you're not a Division I tennis player, okay? And I know I'm going to get pushback, blowback from a lot of people that I'm friends with for saying that, but also, like, it sucks because tennis is, like you said, it's the least biggest loser in this whole thing. So if you're applying those free market metrics and we're outperforming a lot of people that still have a job, then it's picking and choosing, right? That's not a free market at work.
Let me ask you this. You favor an age cap. How would you feel, provided legally you could pull this off, of saying, look, having foreign players is great, it enriches the team, it's a learning experience, but we can't have 8 of 10, 3 of 10.
Okay, so how do you fix that without singling out nations and where people are born? Through what I've looked at, right, and this is as much as I can listen, I'm sure there's going to be people that know a lot more about me than this. Overwhelmingly, the players that are over 23 or what you would think of as like a normal college age are international players, right? Do I think a 25-year-old should be playing college tennis? Probably not. Especially if you spent, 5 years playing challengers and other pro events to come back in, and they've had it in basketball. They had someone who was drafted by the Hornets who now is playing at Baylor. Like, it's a joke, right? So I think the age limit isn't the solution. It's a speed bump in the road of basically paying the bills for someone to come, play tennis professionally, but under the guise of education, right? Is a 26-year-old going to come back and they care about their education? If they're not in like post, if they served in the military or something like that,
100%. Like, I think there can be complete exemptions, right?
Yes.
But if you graduated and you chose to go do something else that wasn't like that,
if you're asking Congress to supplement people playing sports in school, and that's your social safety net, but you're getting rid of other things in life that are critical to living as a social safety net, I don't think this can be fixed politically. So I don't see, and I've asked a million times and I've tried to get smart on this, everyone knows the problem. Everyone's angry about the problem. right? And I don't disagree with any of it. Where are the off-ramps?
I just want to make sure our audience understands what we're, because we've kind of glossed over this for an international audience. We have a lot of international players in college tennis. What's happened recently in the last 3-4 years, there have been rulings, Supreme Court rulings, and now athletes in these revenue sports are able to be paid. So the athletic departments are saying, wait a second, we're going to divert our resources. We need $150,000 to pay for that backup tight end. Why are we funding a tennis team that's losing $1 million a year? And so there have been a lot of foreign players in college tennis for a lot of time, but it's really sharpened recently when these athletic departments now have to figure out a way to pay revenue sport athletes.
Just so we all know, to qualify for the FBS, which is the real thing that anybody cares about, right? To qualify for like the bowl championships and all that stuff, I think the school has to have a minimum of 16 sports, right? So this gets them down to 17. Right, so they're just cutting whatever they can to get as much minimum out the door. But I think Robert Cox, which is their former Arkansas head coach, gave an interview recently and said, "My immediate thought is we can still save the sport. It's the cheapest sport on campus. It's nothing in the grand scheme. $2.5 million for both men and women combined for an athletic program with $200 million in annual revenue." I mean, it's when you think about the grand scheme of the number. But then,
talk about the revenue again.
That the athletic program does $200 million in annual revenue. So he's saying, how can we not afford $2.5 million? And then to that point, you're like, all right, like, yeah, I mean, why can't they go find a booster to just privately fund this if it's that important?
And this is gossip, so take it on face value. As I've been arguing with people I like over the last 3 days about kind of, we want everyone to be paid. College deserves to be paid. It's really hard. And then they get paid and they go, oh, no, not that way. Not like that. But to your point, I think it would take my knee-jerk reaction to Coach Cox, and I listen, I can't imagine what he's dealing with right now. That sucks. For like to go into a locker room of people that look up to you.
He retired in 2013.
No, but I'm just saying, like, even being someone who has to have an opinion about it, it sucks. That being said, we need to know what sports are included in any TV contract, because net gains and losses based on operating expenses versus people buying tickets is very different than if soccer is included in a TV deal and tennis doesn't translate as well to a TV deal as Phil, right? As Phil. And the value sometimes is there's a great night session on the ATP tour and we need something to fill 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Right? And so taking into account where the value adds are with that sport and if tennis actually fills that void, I get to the piece of gossip. I've heard that they're trying to, through private donations, get that program back. I hope it happens. I've been accused the last couple of days when I've just been trying to kind of, someone told me I'm trying to poke holes. It's like, yeah, well, that's how you find if water's leaking. But I love college tennis. My brother played 4 years at Georgia. Like my entire upbringing, I thought I was heading right there, right? I love college tennis. Nobody in this realm or orbit wants less tennis, wants less opportunity, right? It's simply, if we vote for this thing where people get paid, you can't act shocked when capitalism happens. Like we're not like, oh my God, how could we ever have figured this out? Well, when something's profitable, and I call these universities companies now because that's basically what they are.
Yeah.
When something is not profitable in a company and someone else is basically paying for them to exist, it becomes risky. Once you take out once the carrot is not education, but it's paying people to be on your roster, it's a totally different playing field, right? And we can't act shocked by the consequences is my only point.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking about two things that dovetail. I mean, I think Patrick's point was much more about just how many of these roster spots are being taken by foreign players, which I would argue makes these sports that much more vulnerable to cutting. And then you're right. Now, especially in this NIL world, we're talking about these balance sheets that are way out of whack. And football and basketball are supporting sports like tennis that are losing 100x whatever small revenue they're pulling in. Let me ask you a crazy question, because one of the ironies I think in tennis, what did we just talk about in our last segment? Jodar. The irony of all this is that college tennis has never been more essential to the sport. I mean, if you look at sort of the organism of professional tennis right now, college tennis has now become the feeder system, whether it's, go down the list. It's Ben Shelton and it's Diana Schneider. Does tennis, do the tours have some obligation here? I mean, the ATP is not going to bankroll all of college tennis, but there are funds set aside for transition tours. Do the tours not have an obligation when college tennis has played such an essential role now of minting pros? Do the tours not have some role here?
I have a million questions. I'm going to start with the point where we need a clear, if we're complaining about college tennis going, let's be very clear about what is the priority with having a great college tennis system, right? And education, student athlete, life's a teacher, I'm fully in. All in, couldn't be more in, right? Do we want opportunities for Americans in America when it comes to producing tennis players? Absolutely. There is no doubt, 1,000%. And I think an argument can be made that because this competition is so stiff and because there are players from other places, college tennis players have never, ever in the history of college tennis, outside of John McEnroe, been more ready to play on tour when they are done with college or done with a year of college. Spizzirri, Zhang, Quinn, Jodar, Ben, Danielle Collin, Emma Navarro. It just keeps going and going and going. It was rare when Isner made top 10 and James would make top 10 from college. It was oh, that's cool. I mean, listen, the competition could be stiffer and it might take up, the lion's share of Americans playing Division I tennis. I don't think that anyone can argue that it is maybe the single biggest training tool, to John's point, in all of tennis right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if the goal is listen, let's have players ready to try to take a stab at tour after college, then the system's working. But all the other stuff, it's just, it takes each person saying what they prioritize with college, and I don't necessarily agree that from a development standpoint that this is bad for American players. I understand that someone's going to argue that Jodar, trained in America for a year, essentially. Great. And there's, 27 Americans that got to see what that ball felt like.
Yeah.
Right. So I could make that argument. It's just confusing. I hope there is some order at some way, shape, or form. The thing I disagree with strongly, I don't know. If you're 26, is that what college sports is for? And I think that that opinion is consistent for me across. And Mike, I'm glad you said something about service or, military service or something else. Context matters, nuance matters in all these conversations. But listen, I guess is this the tip of the spear? Mm-hmm. Is the Arkansas thing, and obviously the outrage that has been associated with it and the worry, I think worry is almost manifesting as outrage, right? It's I'm worried, therefore I'm pissed.
Yeah, is this the canary in the coal mine, or
I mean,
the beginning of the avalanche?
What do you guys think about that? Because I don't see any guardrails right now. Past the 16 sports, and you hope it slides in as, one of the lesser losers, but is that where this emotion is coming from? Is we hope this isn't the tip of the spear?
It's ominous. And again, this is a different college sports universe than 5 years ago. We should acknowledge at some level Title IX plays a role here as well. I think men's tennis is much more vulnerable than women's. But I mean, it's interesting. At some level, this kind of traces bigger themes, right? Are you a globalist? Do you believe the world is flat? And it's immigration and tariffs. This is sort of a much smaller version of that. But there also is, we always used to say, the big sports were able, football and basketball basically floated the entire athletic department, and the football team made a ton of money. The tennis team got to take a fun trip to Australia for the spring and play the sport that didn't have to charge for tickets and didn't have any media rights. And now it's kind of much more of an eat what you kill world. And it's going to be really interesting to see if Arkansas is this an outlier, or, as Mike said, is this sort of the beginning of the avalanche?
In one of the main issues that I've kind of seen, because there's some whataboutism, right? Where it's okay, well, the sport's paying for this part of the sport, and there are certain segments of professional tennis that pay for other segments of professional tennis. So the whataboutism happens. That's like the knee jerk, right? Like, how is this different than what might happen on tour? Well, that's an insulated tennis problem. We're dealing with tennis people about a tennis problem, and we're allowed to have our opinions. Drawing a direct line between our own tennis issues and maybe a similar scenario to NIL and NCAA, where people they're not inherently passionate about it, probably at large. You know, you can't think that every person who's in a boardroom or has this decision coming across cares about tennis as much as we do. Like that's the difference between, you know, a problem on tour that might be similar versus a problem in NIL.
Well, I mean, and let's get real about it too. The fact that these bigger programs get television deals and our spread, and they get Netflix specials, and they have their branding spread all over the place. I mean, this is a branding play for a lot of schools when they're funding these programs, right? It's marketing dollars, and they're ultimately trying to get. They're not trying to get more athletes to come to their school. They're trying to get the 40,000 kids that want to spend the money to go sit in the stands on a regular basis to come buy hot dogs and beers and merch, and their kids. Like, this is a sustaining thing. And football and basketball are essentially university marketing opportunities. And so it's a good sunk cost, even if it's a break-even cost with women's basketball.
I'm going to leave you guys with a question that I don't know the answer to. And maybe I'll try to get smarter on it and then report back next week. But you mentioned, is there a responsibility, JW, and I know you have to go after this question. I don't expect a fully formed answer here. Is there a responsibility from the tours to support college tennis, being it's a vehicle to, players breaking out? If you're player development here in this country, is there more value in whatever the cost associated with trying to make a player and paying for training is here? Or is there more opportunity with loading up a team with 6 people and going and I don't know. I mean, is it a team full of Americans? Is there a responsibility elsewhere with player development? Are there workarounds that haven't been thought of, right? We want American players. Well, who does that fall off? If it's part of development and you have prospects, is there a way to use that system to your advantage, especially if money is available and you're allowed to pay people?
If only the head of the USTA had a history as a successful college tennis coach, we could jump on that. Craig Tiley, we have a thought exercise for you. I still think, I got to bounce. I still think a cap on the number of foreign players might be advisable, and I think it could probably pass legal muster as well. But no, it's a really tricky set of circumstances. And again, we've talked about it a lot, but the sad irony here is that college tennis is in a really good place qualitatively as a vehicle to the pros, as an appealing landing spot for an 18-year-old, but it's really imperiled right now. And I don't see how it unless, it might force these programs to get really enterprising and entrepreneurial and say, listen, whether it's holding camps or having special events or doing pro-ams, the guardrails are all off on amateurism anyway, but maybe this will force college tennis programs to be a little more enterprising, because right now, I think what were Arkansas's revenues? It was literally like $3,000 of revenues.
Yes.
Against $1 million and $1 million for the women and 1.2.
Yeah, like 2.2 or something like that.
Combined. All right, JW, get out of here. Thank you. We'll see you next
See
week.
you guys. Pleasure.
Mike, you know more about this stuff than I do, but like salary caps for non-revenue sports.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, is it as simple as, listen, if you're not making revenue, then we're not going to pay you $250,000. Is there a cap in place for non-revenue sports based on the 2 years prior? Like, what are the fixes? Because obviously, if you're Arkansas and you have to choose between paying a tennis player $200,000, and I'm making numbers up, but whatever it is, if it's $100,000, if it's whatever, or having that go towards a center who can protect your quarterback, who's going to create revenues in the tens of millions. I hate to tell tennis fans, but I know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
But is there such thing as a salary cap for non-revenue sports in NIL and NCAA?
Well, I think ultimately in conversations that I've had is it's not so much that there isn't the desire to pay these players and to pay them fairly and find alternative ways to fund the program. It is that international players can't accept NIL the same as an American-born player. And so the
And
challenge.
what are those differences, by the way?
I don't know, like, because it's such gray area, right?
Okay.
Everything's being ruled on currently.
It's like the Wild
but
West.
It's the Wild West. Like when we hire a contractor to do graphics internationally, it's a lot harder to pay them than when we hire somebody here in the United States. And there's people putting programs together to figure out how to do that, right? And I think ultimately, once they fix that, maybe that becomes a better pathway forward. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of it just always boils down to media. Boils down to TV dollars. I really think that's the biggest thing. Yeah. And if only there was a channel where it only played tennis and they could broadcast it.
Maybe a YouTube streamer should do it.
Maybe. A good idea.
Maybe. Just let that sit for a second. Here's what disappoints me about this whole thing, right? The fix requires some sobering conversations about where tennis lies in the landscape of the overall NCAA of things. And it comes down to some version of a conversation versus revenue versus non-revenue generating sports. And whatever side you want to argue vehemently, like however you approach this conversation, and if you have a bias because you've participated or it's a big part of your life, those are the facts that are unavoidable for a solution, right? And also, it's just, for me, it's disheartening because college tennis, in my opinion, outside looking in, I didn't play college tennis. I saw it. I watched it. I was around it nonstop growing up. My brother played 4 years at Georgia all the time. It's never been a better product. It has simply never been a higher quality of tennis to where, as a fan, if you get a chance to go to these matches, go. The number one player on a team that's top 5 in the country, sure as shit, like they're going to be in a major in the next 18 months. Maybe it's Jodar. You know, maybe it's Spizzirri who almost beat Sinner after you pay $3 to watch them at some tournament. So while it's here and before the tip of the spear, and with so many question marks around what's going to happen with the NIL of things and where tennis fits into it, simply, if you're a tennis fan, you have a good program, you have any program, go watch these players, support them how and where, even a little bit. The product has never, ever, ever been better.
Yeah. I think that's the result, right? You're just going to have to, if you want to support these things and you want them to exist, you have to go support them.
Yeah. I mean, there's every chance you're going to see Ben Shelton, and you're going to see him in 3 semis of slams, and Danielle Collins makes the finals of Australia, out of college. Emma Navarro shoots to 8 in the world. Spizzirri almost beat Zhang wins. Ethan Quinn's winning all the time. Yeah. You're going to watch future pros with more of a guarantee than I think has ever existed in the history of college tennis. So I hope there is a path. I don't know what it is. It's difficult when it's relying, like people are like, fix college tennis. I'm like, well, the Supreme Court said stuff. So I don't know what tennis willpower can do, but hopefully it can do something, Mike.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, that's it. That's all we got. I have some poll questions for you.
I was about to say, you wrote poll.
After the break, we'll do the poll questions.
Another one. Welcome back to Served, where I don't know what's next, but I do know we're brought to you by ServiceNow. Take us home, producer Mike.
So last week we did a poll where we asked, tennis players must provide their whereabouts for an hour every day. Yep. This is obviously about the issue with Androsov. On socials and in our newsletter, we asked Chuckers if it was fair or ridiculous that they must provide an hour window every single day.
I have some context on the hour window.
Okay.
Home visits, out of competition. So like I remember the years where, you're getting tested by the Olympics in a given country. Like I was walking out of the locker room in Paris and someone walked up and said, this isn't a tennis one, this is an Olympics one, right? Or this is X, Y, and Z. So no, some tests are surprises. The at-home visits traditionally have not been surprises. There is an hour window. So context needed, because people are, there's a random tell, you don't know. I lived it. I got it. I understand. But like at home when I was in Austin, Texas, there at least was some rhyme or reason. So we'll see how it spills out. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think I was wrong.
Well, I mean, I think ultimately, a lot of people thought, 39% said fair, sports rely on integrity, but 61% that it is ridiculous and a little too invasive to require an hour window every single day for testing. We had people in the comments say there should be clear indication, I'm on my way, kind of like DoorDash or Uber do. You had other people saying that I have nothing against the players. It's the system which treats different players with terrible standards. I think it's a little bit all over the place, but a lot of people said, why can't they do random drug tests at the tournament only?
Yeah.
Which is something I brought up.
Yeah. So listen, the problem with testing forever is that I think abusers who can afford it are going to be ahead of testing for a while. Like we would have never had the fallout in baseball if some a jilted employee from Balco wouldn't have sent in a sample of the designer steroid that then popped off everyone.
Yeah.
Right. So if you give abusers and people who are trying to cheat the system time, like if they can create a 10-week window going into Australia and train, clear their system, by the time they get there, the damage has been done. So we get those random tests at Slams. You know that the further you go, the more likely you are to be tested. Mm-hmm. And it used to be at least weighted on ranking also. So like I got more at-home tests than a lot of players. Should we be spending resources on players ranked 300? Probably not yet, at scale. I don't know. I disagree. I had to live it. I had to live through the inconvenience of it. And for me, it created at least some sort of, I always say proudly, whenever we have controversy, whenever it's, a Sinner last year, an ego, or it's like one that I have an opinion on that maybe someone else doesn't agree with my opinion on, which is totally fine. It's your prerogative, right? But I can safely say that we have the most intense testing in all of sports. Mm-hmm. I love being able to say that. Like, I like it. Is that worth an hour of my day when I was on tour? Yes. Do I think, and I don't know this, do I think that most of the players want that peace of mind, even if it's a complete and total invasion of privacy, pain in the ass? We're going to see this issue spill out over time with the Vondrousova case, because it seems like that's at least the crux of a lot of it, or at least the early parts of it before we get to the, what and when and how. I appreciate the fans saying like, let's have some empathy or some sympathy, but like, I kind of respectfully disagree with the majority there. As a former player, I liked knowing that someone else was, if I was getting woken up at 5:20 by a doorbell and you have to provide your codes, if you have a gate to your house and the whole thing, and you have to provide that. If I was getting woken up, then that meant someone else somewhere in the world was also having the threat of being tested, therefore probably making the sport cleaner.
Yeah. I do think there's a level of technology that the infrastructure can probably use, and they love data, so they can find a way to automatically text somebody the picture of the person testing and what they look like and have it come from an official number. Like, that seems like an easy and quick fix.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure like there's technologies. Listen, I'm a fucking dinosaur at this point. Like,
I was in
now. 2012 with the last one. So that criticism fully accepted. I'm sure there are better ways to do it now. For me, like the levels, if we're not at a performance enhancing level for anything, Sinner, it's like the tribunal, speck of sand in a swimming pool, right? Yeah. If he's not gaining any benefit, I just don't think that he would risk everything he risked. So inconvenience of an hour versus levels, I would rather focus on levels to protect people who aren't abusing the system, but who I would like to create some grace for a mistake, which in tennis right now we have zero grace for mistake. That doesn't mean frequency. That doesn't mean like I'm fine being inconvenienced. If when I was a player, I was fine being inconvenienced to have the feeling of a cleaner sport.
So we got a new poll question this week coming off the news of Alcaraz. If you guys want to weigh in on it, check it out on YouTube, check it out on Instagram, go find it in the newsletter, and we will reveal the results next week. But this one is, does Alcaraz's high intensity and style of play make you nervous about his career longevity? Multi-choice, yes, no, too early to tell. We'll get your results. We'll get you the results in your opinion next week.
I can't comment right now.
If you'd like, but
you would rather have me not.
I don't care. You can.
Great. Because of Mike, this show is now over. Thank you for watching Serve, brought to you by ServiceNow. AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built on. With the ServiceNow AI platform, your AI, data, and workflows all work together, connecting every corner of your business. To see how you can put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com/AI-agents.